Hey Stampers, Diane Dimich here with DDStamps.com, and today I'm going to make one of the projects that we did at my Create With Me event the other night in Billings, and I got this new photopolymer stamp set from Stampin' Up. This happens to be, I love it. I love this stamp set. I love this huge thank you. This is the reason I got it, was because of that huge thank you. But it comes with lots of other little thank yous, and a little diamond and a couple of hearts, and also a thank you so much. So there's a lot of stamps in this set. But absolutely my favorite was the big huge thank you. And the project that I came up with was just a really quick thank you card. So we're going to use that thank you. I don't know if you can see that, but it is, I've already attached it on, and these stick like you would not believe. These clear photopolymer stamps stick to our box. And I'm going to use some Versamark on that. And I'm going to start with a piece of designer series paper. This is one that I have already cut. And it is cut 4 by 5 1/4 because I'm going to mount it onto a Whisper White base. But anyway, before I begin, I'm just going to take my embossing buddy and go right over that card just to get rid of the static and the cling from my fingers and electricity. And then I'm going to ink up this stamp, and you're still not going to see anything because I'm inking it up with Versamark. But I'm just inking it up with that Versamark, and I'm going to stamp that right on that piece of designer paper. And this stamp is huge, and so I'm putting a pretty good amount of pressure, and then I'm going to pull that off. And of course you can't see anything yet, but I'm going to dump white embossing powder over the top of that whole thing. And I'll just dump that on there. I'm going to swish it around a little bit. And it's all on there. Now I'm going to go and use my heat gun, so I will be right back as soon as I do that. Okay, well I've got that embossed, so it's all good to go, and it's kind of shiny. But I really wasn't sure I liked that. I wanted it to stand out a little bit more. So I'm coming in with my pistachio pudding, which is the same color as the designer series paper I've used in there, and then just 1/4 of a sponge. And all I'm going to do is just swirl this pistachio pudding, talk much, around my thank you. And it's just going to make it pop off the page a little bit more. I don't know if you can see that on the video, but on the piece of cardstock it does. It just makes the thank you stand out a bit more. And so then I'm just going to take a piece of Whisper White, and I have cut this 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored it at 4 1/4, and I fold it in half, and that is going to layer right on here for a very quick thank you card. And of course I have to add a little bling to it, and so I'm going to come in and just add a couple of pearls, and I'm actually using the dots on this particular designer series paper to line up where I want my pearls to be. But it just adds just a little bit of bling to that particular project. Now the other thing that I had people do the other night was use our new envelope punch board, and I love this board. It's a lot of fun. You can do a lot of things with it, but we went ahead and made a envelope that was 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 because that's the size of my card. And I used an 8 by 8 piece of designer series paper. Here it is cut. What works out nice with this is you cut off 8 by 8. You still have enough for that 4 by 5 1/4 piece to make an envelope and a card that matches out of one piece of designer series paper. Plus you got some extras to play with too. So you get 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, an 8 by 8 square, and you're going to score it at 3 1/2. So you're going to punch it, and then score it at 3 1/2, and then turn your paper, line up that score line with the little envelope there, and punch it, score it, and again line it up, score it, punch it. Doesn't matter which order you punch it and score it, as long as you do them both. And move that out of the way. And then I have my envelope. And then, of course, I do have a choice, because I could do this as the envelope or this side as the envelope. I think I'm going to go with this side. So I'm just going to fold on those score lines like this. and then come in on the two inside folds with, like that. Oh, and I'm going to go ahead and corner around my tip of my envelope. I forgot to do that on this tip, but that's all right. Because sometimes I just like to fold that in, give it a clean edge. And there is a card and an envelope, very quickly done, with a piece of designer series paper and a base of some of Whisper White. A couple little pearls. Makes for a quick and easy card. Thank you. Have a great day. And if you haven't already, you might want to visit my website and sign up for my newsletter at www.DDStamps.com.